Hi guys, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Elaine, and on this channel I talk about bags, mid-range to luxury. And if you've seen me a few times already, please consider subscribing as I'm trying to grow this channel. Thank you, and let's get into it. So today I'm going to be talking about the differences between the Toolbox 20 and the Toolbox 26. And I'm also going to be touching upon my bag organizer of choice, which is Zoomoni. So this video is not sponsored, but I was gifted a Zoomoni organizer. So thank you so much to the people over at Zoomoni. This is my very first time with a gifted product on this channel, and having done the blog thing for a while, and I did get some gifted items there, I want to be very intentional about who I partner with. First off, I'm not getting paid for this. It's not sponsored, but also I do have, and I'll put it down here, I do have a link that gets you 20% off, but that is not an affiliate link. So I will not be earning anything off of that. If you do purchase from that, it's all just for you guys to get 20% off. I chose to partner with Zoomoni out of several offers that I've had already, is because I've been a long time buyer of Zoomoni for myself. So I've tried several other bag organizer brands, and Zoomoni is my favorite, and I'll go over it in a second. I've been buying them for at least the last 2 to 3 years, and I really believe in their product. They're all custom made, so in a sense it's slow fashion. There's no excess products made, so there's very little waste involved. I just think Zoomoni, they provide a very good product. So without further ado, let's get into it. And this is my Toolbox 26. So as you can see, it's quite a bit larger than the Toolbox 20. 26 meaning, of course, centimeters across. So 26 centimeters across this way, 20 centimeters across this way, but it also means that everything else is bigger on the Toolbox 26. Actually, I just started getting into the toolboxes. If you've seen my unboxings, I think from a couple of months ago, I started with the 26 because that's what I got from the RealReal. I really loved it. I love the way that it is both a top handle and shoulder carry, but the shoulder carry is canvas, and I actually prefer canvas because canvas is much more comfortable on my shoulder. There's less pressure because, the weight is spread out evenly through a very thick strap. I've got this one off of Brandier. I'll link them below, but they're my favorite Japanese reseller on eBay. And then after that, I did go to Japan and I bought that one at Ginza Shaoma. Yeah, Ginza Shaoma in Osaka. So I have pretty much a video, I think, of each one, so I'll put it up. Honestly, I love it because it's an under the radar bag, but it still has that Kelly clasp, and it's very, very easy to use. Also very easy to open up and see what's inside. So as you can see here, I have the Toolbox 26 and 22. There's also a Toolbox 33, which means it's 33 centimeters across, which is quite large. I have yet to actually come across one on the resale market, but I know they're out there. I looked it up. I think 33 might maybe be more for men's. Honestly, the 26 is already quite large and quite heavy, so I don't know what a 33 would be like. But a little history about the bag. They first were produced in 2010, so that was under Jean-Paul Gaultier as the head designer. So these are all at least 15 years old, so 16 years old, so they're not quite vintage, but give it a couple more years and they'll be there. They're definitely not in production now, and I guess in terms of Hermes, in the Hermes world, it's called they're rested. I don't know, I looked that up, but yeah, so the only way you can find these are through the secondhand or resale market, and sometimes they also come in verso. So unfortunately, none of mine are verso, which means a different color on the outside versus the inside. I think that's actually fairly rare. Toolboxes in general are not as common on the resale market, and then if they are, I see them in a lot of reds and oranges, and maybe some bright blues, but I was really lucky to find it in this color here. It's called Glycine, and Grist Pearl back there. Been on the search for something more neutral. I mean, I love this color. I'm never gonna sell this bag. So, but I did want something a little bit more neutral, and that's when I found the one in Osaka. If you do find one in one of those more neutral colors, and like they're decently priced, I would say go for it. So when I mean decently priced is, I think on average, I've seen them around the 4,000 to 5,000 range. I think I got this one around 3, and I got that one just under 3. That one I got tax-free in Osaka, so that did make it a little bit cheaper. And then this one I did get from the Real for about also around $3. But this one didn't come with a strap. So this is a third-party strap. I had to add that on. And then also when I show you, it's gonna be quite smushy. So this one, I would say out of all of them, you can even tell like the flap doesn't quite stay up. This one is the most worn. And all three are made in Evercolor leather. So I think for the most part, most toolboxes come in Evercolor, maybe in Swift. I think I've seen one or two, but I feel like the predominant leather for toolbox is Evercolor, which is sort of a grainy, it's a grained leather, but not so much as say Togo or Clemence. It is somewhat smoothed down. It is quite durable. It's thick. So we'll go into the dimensions real quick. So like I said, the Toolbox 26 is 26 centimeters across. It is about, so that's about 10.2 inches across. And then it's about 7, I would say about 8, depending on how much you're measuring. So the thing about the Toolbox is because it has this sort of like milk carton fold here, you can only put items up to this bottom portion. The top part here where it folds up is pretty useless. And then it is about 7 inches wide. So it's a very wide bag. So it's never gonna be tucked under your arm. It's very much hand carry or shoulder carry. 26 is quite large. I honestly haven't used it since I got the 20 because the 20 is so much lighter and I don't really need to carry this much stuff. It doesn't fit a laptop, so it wouldn't work in that sense. So I think the 33 probably would, but then you're talking about a really heavy bag. So, and then just for reference, the 20 is 8 inches across, 9 inches high here, but this portion here is gotta be like 5 inches. Again, the milk carton fold here will make it less usable, but you can also wing it out. Kind of looks like the Celine now, which is, 2010 was like height of Celine Phantom time, I think, because Phoebe Philo started in 08. So this is probably Hermes's version of the trapeze look, the wings. So yeah, if the wings are coming back in the Celine Phantom, Toolbox is right on trend. But I actually prefer the tucked in look, the more rectangular shape. Sorry, I got distracted. All right, so what was I saying? Yeah, so this is probably about at most 5-ish, and then the width is about 6 inches. So those are the exterior dimensions. And then inside of the Toolbox, so as you can see, I do have my felt Zoomoni organizer here. So I purchased this one myself a while ago because I know when I got this bag, it was basically like this. So as you can see, this is what happens to very old Toolbox bags, and look at the difference this Zoomoni organizer made. So this one is in felt. I got basically the most standard version, which I think this is the 2mm. So the felt organizers come in 1.2 millimeters or 2mm. They say 2mm is standard. 2mm is much more rigid, but 1.2 millimeters is also quite good. So I usually get the 1.2 all the time because it's rigid enough. Honestly, the felt is very good for holding the structure. So I knew this one needed some structure. I don't particularly like carrying a bag that's that smushy. I mean, I know some people love it and it's definitely a look, but I wanted my Toolbox to have a little bit of structure. And look at the difference that Zoomoni organizer made, right? It's quite remarkable. And then on this side, I also have a Zoomoni organizer, but this one is the one that I was gifted. So this is their new-ish version. It's called the Silky. So it's a different, it's a very nice, shiny, smooth, silky texture. Very luxurious to the touch. I chose the Silky for this one because as you can see, the 20, it can stand up on its own. Yeah, so this one, I didn't really need it for the structure. I just really wanted to, one, kind of protect the lambskin interior here. It's beautiful. It's really nice lambskin. And also there is a softening of the corners of the Toolbox as it ages for the 20. I mean, also for the 26. As you can see, this one here, yeah, it does have some softening. Requested the Silky for the Toolbox 20 specifically for this one here, which I currently have stuffed. So I just took out the stuffing for this one. Again, this one has beautiful lambskin that I, especially for this one, I want to protect because it's very, very light colored. As you can see on the corners for this one, it really starts to soften up and cave in. So I wanted the Zoomoni organizer to be able to hold the corners for this one. So as I put it in and put the corners in, yeah, it really, like you can see, it really starts to flatten out the corners. Oh yeah. And it looks nicer. I think it really helps hold the structure. So as you can see here, I feel like the corners are looking a tad better. This one I think is gone, but this one is looking better. That's the main reason, the two main reasons I get my Zoomoni organizers, for structure and for protection of the interiors, for especially really nice bags. And then, you know, you can also use it as it's meant to be used, which is an organizer. I, for one, use pouches because I'm switching out of my bags so often, so I kind of have to use pouches. So I don't really fully utilize the organizer part of it, but if you like to keep your organization, the Zoomoni organizers are so awesome. They have pockets. Like, sure, this one has pockets as well. They have two small little cell phone pockets, like flip phone pockets, and then you also have one flat pocket on this side. But for the most part, you don't have as much organization as what the Zoomoni provides. And also, I mean, this is the most basic form of the organizer, but you can also get ones that have cup holders and lipstick holders and zippers, which is great if you're using sort of like a big slouchy bag that doesn't have any sort of closure. Then, you know, the Zoomoni organizer could provide that security for you, which I think is great. So let's do a quick little side-by-side of the organizers. So true, they're not the same size, but I think that's okay because I'm really here to talk about the different features, like which one should you choose for what kind of bag. So if you want some rigidity and structure to your bag, like that I wanted for the Toolbox 26, then you definitely want to go with felt. Can be a little heavier than the silk. The silky one tends to be a little bit more lightweight. Of course, it doesn't feel as luxurious, but yeah, if structure and rigidity is like your main purpose for an organizer, then you got to go with felt. The silky is definitely more for those bags that maybe already have structure, or it's supposed to be slouchy in nature. So slouchy bags are in, but big slouchy bags have zero organization. You know, I'm thinking like my Bottega bags. For those, you don't necessarily want to give those structure. You want them to be able to puddle. And so you want the organizer to kind of be able to mold to the bag. And so then I would say silky. Also, there's some people that just don't like the feel of felt. You know, it's a little bit more rough. It's not as luxurious. So definitely the silky is better for that. But then there is a difference in the price point. So, you know, silky is definitely a higher quality material. So you're looking at about almost double the price. So I will compare the pricing for the 20s. The silky is $69.95 and then the felt one is $35. So yeah, I mean, pretty much when you go silky, you go double. So it's really your personal preference and what kind of bag that you are protecting, organizing. I love them both. And thank you to Zoomoni again for the free bag organizer and for the promo code for anyone who's interested in purchasing one. To be honest, I actually used my own promo code to buy another organizer for another Hermes vintage bag that I got, which I probably will be unboxing soon here. So stay tuned for that. I also was gifted some of these organizers. Well, so first off, this is a base shaper. And I don't normally, in all honesty, buy base shapers because most of my bags don't need it. Like this Toolbox already has a fairly thick base. If you have a bag that needs some rigidity, when you pick it up and like it bows, that's when you really want a base shaper. So it does fit perfectly. Does it fit inside? Yeah, so it does fit perfectly inside to add some extra structural rigidity. And then I want to thank them for gifting me with some extras here. So I didn't ask and they just kind of threw this in. So this is a very pleasant surprise, but I have both little card slot organizers. And then they also gifted me these little felt cubes, which is so cute. So obviously, you know, this is a big open space. And if you want to be even more organized, which I mean, it's kind of perfect for the toolbox, right? Because you think of a toolbox and it has all these compartments. You totally could just put the compartments in, and now you have even more of an organized space. Honestly, if you are very into bag organization, I mean, you got to check out Zoomoni. They do such a great job. Everything is beautifully handmade. I have had no issues, and I've been buying them for years. If you're in the bag tube world, everybody talks about Zoomoni, or everybody's had one Zoomoni collaboration or gifted items for good reason. And I feel good about this collaboration because, like I said before, I've been buying them for years. So anyways, this was an unexpected gift. So I am actually going to be giving away one to a subscriber, anybody who wants them, if you want to enter this very small giveaway. And you can also then check out the quality of these Zoomoni organizers for yourself. Just be sure to like this video, subscribe, and then in your comments just write red or blue. I will be gifting you this, and then I will be keeping the brown to go with my array of brown organizers. I guess I'm just really into brown, so I will also be throwing in this cute little pink. So it's red or blue. So one of these could be yours. So let's get back to the toolbox. I'm gonna put everything back right now. Oh, you know what? Before I put it back, it's an unfair comparison because this is, you know, the felt one is a little bit bigger than the Silky, but I mean, I just wanted to see for myself. I read online that the felt is usually heavier, but let's just find out. So this felt one weighs 4.8 ounces. So the weight of the Silky organizer is 2.8. So it's quite a bit lighter. If you do want a lighter bag organizer, then I would choose the Silky version. So yeah, that's the comparison of the two organizers. Let me know if you have any questions. Please pop them down below. And then let's keep going with the toolbox review. Well, since I already have my scale out, let's now weigh the Hermes toolbox bags. Toolbox 26. So the Toolbox 26 empty with just the strap is about 2 pounds and 1.2 ounces. So definitely over 2 pounds for this one. Just to let you know, I don't have the lock on there because it's heavy. It adds even more weight. Why? Why would you need it? And then let's try the Toolbox 20. I think this is empty, yes? Yes. And the Toolbox 20 is 1 pound, 7.8 ounces. So that's about half a pound more for the Toolbox 26, which isn't terrible considering it is quite a bit bigger. So now if you were to say what fits, let me grab my bag. Okay, so the bag that I'm currently using is my Bottega Veneta Hobo. All right, so sunglasses, mom pouch, wallet, sunscreen, lip balm, hand sanitizer, and some cough drops, which I actually probably don't need to be carrying anymore, but it doesn't hurt. I did organize it in such a way that you can put the little things in the pockets, which is very useful. This is sort of like my weekend mom pouch, like if I'm going around with my kid, if I need a couple more items, tissues, hair things, pen, paper, you know, the whole shebang. Let's see if this fits inside. Yeah, so that does fit. So my Toolbox 20, you know, could even work as my weekend bag because it literally fits everything. But then let's see if I want to put in my mini iPad. Let's see, will it fit? No, it won't fit there. Okay, so I think if I wanted to have my mini iPad, I would have to take out the larger mom pouch, in which case I would have enough space to store it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so it does fit without the bigger mom pouch. I mean, I could take this apart and put it into the actual Zoomoni organizer, and that would also work. But yeah, this is what it looks like inside. So I guess if I wanted to carry everything, then I would definitely need to go up a size. Forgot my usual water bottle. So I guess take out the big mom pouch. Let's see if the water bottle fits inside. So no. So if you're looking to carry a water bottle, I mean, yes, you could wing it out and do it this way, and you'll have the water bottle standing up, peeking out through the top there. You can also lay it down on top like that. So that works as well. Water bottle plus mini iPad plus essentials definitely all fits, but not with the big mom pouch. So now let's move all that over to here. Water bottle for the 26. Yeah, 26, if you have it standing up, I don't know if you can see, it does kind of fit. Like I'm still able to close it and I don't have to necessarily wing out the sides. That's funny. The Zoomoni organizer actually has a handy dandy water bottle holder. So yeah. Yeah, so if I do that here, then you can you see here that the lid is kind of sticking out. I don't, like I said, I don't have to wing out the sides, but it does create a little bit of it doesn't fully close like it does on this side. So, I mean, it's up to you if you want to use a water bottle that way. Mini iPad, and I would put the big mom pouch on the bottom, the rest of the essentials, wallet, mom pouch, cough drops, sunglasses. Can sunglasses? Yeah, sunglasses can also be standing up. And thanks to the Zoomoni organizer, it's very easy. And then all the little things. Hand sanitizer, sunscreen, and lip balm. There you go. Honestly, this is more than enough for a mom's toolbox. You know, all the things for her kids. Could also work as a diaper bag, I'm sure. All right, so I have my daughter's iPad. Let's see if that fits. It does just fit on the side here. And then if I were to close it up. All right, so yes, that is a very, very stuffed toolbox. And inside, it literally has everything I would need for a long day out with my kid. All this stuff, of course, is quite heavy. The bag itself is already 2 pounds. And then you add the iPad and a water bottle. It's heavy. But I guess if you're just driving somewhere, then you could just easily throw this on a seat. But it is nice that, you know, as heavy as it has rolled handles here, so it makes it very comfortable. And then, of course, the canvas strap, again, will make it very comfortable to wear over your shoulder. The toolbox is such a practical bag. I never really thought about getting a toolbox because I always thought they were so bulky, but because there is sort of a long shoulder strap, it doesn't actually hit like under here. You can just easily, comfortably put your hands down, and it's like the perfect length. I did have the Birkin 30 for a minute, so I do have some clips here comparing the Toolbox 26 with the Birkin 30. And so if you were to look at the size differences, the Birkin 30 is 11.8 centimeters across. So this one's only 10.2. So the Birkin is wider, but the Birkin is kind of about the same height. And then it is the width that makes is about an inch difference. So this one is 7 inches and the Birkin is about 6.3. The Toolbox 26 to the Birkin 30, they're actually fairly similar in size. So if you think the Toolbox is a bulky bag, like it's not that much bulkier than the Birkin, honestly. And then I guess if you were to compare the Birkin 25, which I've never had, with the Toolbox 20 is 7.9 inches wide, and the Birkin 25 is 10 inches. So you're talking about another 3 inches out this way. Oh, sorry, 8 inches wide, and so 10, so another 2 inches out this way. You're talking about the Birkin 25 is 8 inches high, versus if you were to count the full length, full height of the Toolbox is 9 inches. So Toolbox might be a little bit taller on this one. And then the width. So the width is about 6 inches here, and the Birkin 25 is 5. Oh, but then of course, most importantly, the price. I mean, these were all under 5. Birkin 25s, I mean, even retail, they're like 13,000 now, right? I don't know, probably more. And then you're looking at resale, they're like 15 to 20 for a Birkin 25. And then for a Birkin 30, it's a little bit less. But, you know, I think for the most part, you know, Birkins is a lot of hype. That's just my personal opinion. I did own them, but I did sell them. So, you know, obviously I'm not the target market for a Birkin. I love the Toolbox. I can use it in public spaces. No one really knows. But then if I went into an Hermes, they'll be like, oh, I love your Toolbox. Like the hardware is like the Kelly, but without the sangles. You know, if you wanted to wing it out, you could wing it out. And it's just so easy to open. Like it's one of the few bags that you can open with one hand. Here I am trying to demonstrate it. But yes, I'll be driving and be like, oh, I need something. And then I can open it. Of course, if you have a Birkin, it's just fully wide open, which obviously you can carry this fully wide open as well. These little flaps come in, right? So then it's not as open of a tote as say a Birkin. I think that's it for my toolbox review. I wanted to say special thank you to Zoomoni for the gifted organizer. And if you guys are interested in getting a Zoomoni organizer of your own, like I said, I do have a discount code for 20% off, and I am also doing that giveaway. So if you're interested, please just enter, like, subscribe, and put what color you would prefer. Announce the winner on YouTube posts. If you guys have any questions, please pop them down below, and otherwise I'll see you in the next one. Bye.